Question 1. A buyer is interested in a property that is currently leased to a tenant. The buyer intends to occupy the property immediately after the purchase. What type of lease clause should the buyer be particularly concerned about? A. Sublease clause. B. Acceleration clause. C. Right of first refusal. D. Sale and leaseback. Answer: C. Right of first refusal. Explanation: the right of first refusal clause in a lease allows the tenant the option to purchase the property before the owner sells it to someone else. This could impact the buyer's ability to occupy the property immediately. Question 2. After purchasing a property, a homeowner discovers that a portion of their garage is actually built on the neighbor's land. What real estate concept does this situation best illustrate? A. Encroachment. B. Easement. C. Adverse possession. D. Line. Answer: A. Encroachment. Explanation: encroachment occurs when a structure or improvement, like a part of a garage, extends onto a neighboring property without permission. Question 3. Define line and explain how it affects property ownership. A. A right to keep possession of property belonging to another person until a debt owed by that person is discharged. B. A legal claim or hold on a property as security for a debt or charge. C. A legal document conveying title to a property. D. An agreement that grants the right to use a part of someone else's property. Answer: B. A legal claim or hold on a property as security for a debt or charge. Explanation: a line is a legal claim against a property that must be paid off when the property is sold. It affects the owner's ability to transfer clear title. Question 4. Samantha is selling her home and has received multiple offers. What factors should she consider when deciding which offer to accept? A. The offering price only. B. The buyer's financing and the contingencies. C. The speed of the transaction only. D. The buyer's personal letter. Answer: B. The buyer's financing and the contingencies. Explanation: while the offering price is important, the buyer's financing and the contingencies, like inspection and appraisal, are crucial to ensure a smooth and successful sale. Question 5. A couple is purchasing their first home in California. Explain the purpose and process of a title search in their home buying process. A. To ensure the property is free from encumbrances and liens. B. To confirm the property's market value. C. To inspect the physical condition of the property. D. To assess property taxes. Answer: A. To ensure the property is free from encumbrances and liens. Explanation: a title search is conducted to verify that the seller has the legal right to transfer ownership and that there are no claims or liens against the property. Question 6. In a sale-leaseback transaction, what are the advantages for the seller/lessee? A. Immediate possession of the property. B. Long-term capital gains. C. Quick access to capital while retaining use of the property. D. Reduced property taxes. Answer: C. Quick access to capital while retaining use of the property. Explanation: in a sale-leaseback, the seller/lessee gains quick access to capital by selling the property and then leasing it back, allowing continued use without owning it. Question 7. Explain the difference between zoning and building codes in real estate. A. Zoning regulates land use. Building codes regulate construction standards. B. Zoning regulates construction methods. Building codes regulate land use. C. Zoning is a federal matter. Building codes are local. D. Zoning applies to residential properties. Building codes to commercial. Answer: A. Zoning regulates land use. Building codes regulate construction standards. Explanation: zoning laws dictate how properties in certain areas can be used, residential, commercial, etc., while building codes set standards for the construction and safety of the buildings. Question 8. A real estate investor is calculating the potential return on an investment property. What expenses should be considered in this calculation? A. Property taxes and insurance only. B. Mortgage payments only. C. Maintenance, management fees, and vacancy costs. D. Utilities only. Answer: C. Maintenance, management fees, and vacancy costs. Explanation: to accurately calculate potential return, an investor should consider all operating expenses, including maintenance, management fees, vacancy costs, property taxes, insurance, and mortgage payments. Question 9. What are the implications of a property being located in a flood zone for a potential buyer? A. Higher insurance premiums. B. Lower property taxes. C. Increased property value. D. Easier financing options. Answer: A. Higher insurance premiums. Explanation: properties in flood zones typically require additional flood insurance, leading to higher insurance premiums for the buyer. Question 10. Describe the process and significance of property appraisal in a real estate transaction. A. To determine the seller's asking price. B. To assess the property for tax purposes. C. To evaluate the property's condition and necessary repairs. D. To estimate the property's market value for financing. Answer: D. To estimate the property's market value for financing. Explanation: an appraisal is conducted to provide an unbiased estimate of a property's value. It's significant for financing, as lenders use this value to determine loan amounts. Question 11. A tenant in a commercial lease is responsible for paying rent, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. What type of lease does this describe? A. Gross lease. B. Triple net lease. C. Percentage lease. D. Variable lease. Answer: B. Triple net lease. Explanation: in a triple net lease, the tenant is responsible for rent and additional expenses like property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs. Question 12. Explain right of first refusal in a real estate context with an example. A. The seller's right to refuse any offer. B. The buyer's right to match or exceed a third-party offer. C. The tenant's right to terminate a lease early. D. The lender's right to foreclose on a property. Answer: B. The buyer's right to match or exceed a third-party offer. Explanation: right of first refusal gives a party, such as a tenant, the right to match or exceed a third-party offer if the property owner decides to sell. Question 13. A property owner wants to convert a single-family home into a duplex. What governmental permissions and considerations are necessary for this change? A. Only interior design approval. B. Building permits and zoning compliance. C. No permissions required. D. Approval from the homeowners association only. Answer: B. Building permits and zoning compliance. Explanation: converting a single-family home into a duplex requires building permits and must comply with local zoning regulations. Question 14. What are the key differences between condominium and townhouse ownership? A. Condominiums offer more privacy than townhouses. B. Townhouses include ownership of the land. Condominiums typically do not. C. Condominiums are always single-story. Townhouses multiple-story. D. Townhouses have HOA fees. Condominiums do not. Answer: B. Townhouses include ownership of the land. Condominiums typically do not. Explanation: in a townhouse, the owner usually owns the land the unit is on. In a condominium, the land is commonly owned by all unit owners. Question 15. In a real estate transaction, explain the role and responsibilities of an escrow officer. A. To negotiate the final sale price. B. To conduct home inspections. C. To manage the funds and documents until the transaction is complete. D. To provide legal advice to the buyer or seller. Answer: C. To manage the funds and documents until the transaction is complete. Explanation: the escrow officer neutrally manages funds, documents, and instructions from all parties until all conditions of the transaction are met. Question 16. A homeowner wants to sell their house, but there's an easement allowing the neighbor to use part of the driveway. How might this impact the sale? A. It will increase the property value. B. It can make the property more difficult to sell. C. It has no impact on the sale. D. It simplifies the selling process. Answer: B. It can make the property more difficult to sell. Explanation: an easement, such as shared driveway use, can be seen as a restriction, potentially making the property less attractive to some buyers. Question 17. Describe the implications of a defeasance clause in a mortgage agreement. A. It allows for early payment without penalty. B. It binds the borrower to make payments even after selling the property. C. It voids the mortgage upon full repayment of the loan. D. It increases the interest rate after a certain period. Answer: C. It voids the mortgage upon full repayment of the loan. Explanation: a defeasance clause in a mortgage states that the line is voided once the borrower has paid off the loan in full. Question 18. Explain what a comparative market analysis, CEMA, is and how it is used in real estate. A. A legal assessment of the property's compliance with local laws. B. An environmental impact analysis of the property. C. An estimate of a property's value based on recent sales of similar properties. D. A financial audit of the property owner. Answer: C. An estimate of a property's value based on recent sales of similar properties. Explanation: a CEMA is used to help determine a property's market value by comparing it to similar properties that have recently sold in the area. Question 19. A property owner discovers a claim against their property for a debt they didn't incur. What steps should they take to resolve this issue? A. Ignore the claim as it is not their debt. B. Negotiate directly with the creditor. C. Seek legal advice to dispute the claim. D. Pay off the debt to avoid legal complications. Answer: C. Seek legal advice to dispute the claim. Explanation: the property owner should seek legal counsel to address and dispute a claim against their property that is not their responsibility. Question 20. Define real estate syndication and discuss its benefits and risks to investors. A. A method of pooling funds from multiple investors for a single project. B. A government program for first-time homebuyers. C. A private mortgage insurance program. D. A real estate investment trust, REIT. Answer: A. A method of pooling funds from multiple investors for a single project. Explanation: real estate syndication allows investors to pool their resources to invest in larger projects than they could individually, offering potential for higher returns but also shared risks. Question 21. John and Mary own a property as joint tenants. If John sells his interest to Alex, how does this affect the type of ownership? A. The joint tenancy continues among Mary, John, and Alex. B. The joint tenancy is converted to a tenancy in common between Mary and Alex. C. Alex becomes a tenant in severalty. D. The joint tenancy remains unchanged. Answer: B. The joint tenancy is converted to a tenancy in common between Mary and Alex. Explanation: when a joint tenant sells their interest, it breaks the joint tenancy, converting it into a tenancy in common between the remaining joint tenant and the new owner. Question 22. A real estate agent notices a pattern of steering in her brokerage. What are the ethical and legal implications of this practice? A. It is considered good practice to guide buyers. B. It leads to enhanced market competition. C. It is a violation of fair housing laws. D. It is encouraged for agent specialization. Answer: C. It is a violation of fair housing laws. Explanation: steering, the practice of guiding prospective buyers towards or away from certain neighborhoods based on discriminatory factors, is a violation of fair housing laws. Question 23. Explain the term redlining in the context of real estate and its impact on home buyers. A. Prioritizing certain areas for property development. B. Refusing to insure or lend in certain neighborhoods based on race or ethnicity. C. Reducing prices in specific areas to stimulate growth. D. Marking properties that require renovation. Answer: B. Refusing to insure or lend in certain neighborhoods based on race or ethnicity. Explanation: redlining is the discriminatory practice where services, like mortgages or insurance, are denied or priced higher for residents in certain areas based on race or ethnicity. Question 24. During an open house, a prospective buyer asks about the crime rate in the neighborhood. How should the real estate agent respond? A. Refuse to answer, as it could be considered steering. B. Provide a detailed crime report of the area. C. Advise the buyer to contact the local police department. D. Share personal opinions about the neighborhood's safety. Answer: C. Advise the buyer to contact the local police department. Explanation: agents should avoid giving subjective information about a neighborhood. Directing the buyer to the police or other sources for crime statistics is appropriate. Question 25. What are the key factors that affect property value in a real estate market? A. Color and style of the property. B. The seller's financial status. C. Location, market conditions, and property condition. D. The buyer's personal preferences. Answer: C. Location, market conditions, and property condition. Explanation: property values are primarily influenced by the property's location, the current market conditions, and the condition of the property itself. Question 26. A homeowner wants to refinance their mortgage. Explain the steps and considerations involved in this process. A. Contact the current lender to adjust the interest rate. B. Evaluate current financial situation, credit, and market rates. Shop for new loan options. C. Cancel the current mortgage and seek a new one. D. Refinancing is not possible once a mortgage is established. Answer: B. Evaluate current financial situation, credit, and market rates. Shop for new loan options. Explanation: refinancing involves evaluating one's financial situation, comparing current market rates, and shopping for a new loan to replace the existing mortgage. Question 27. Describe the responsibilities of a property manager in a residential rental property. A. Selling units in the property. B. Decorating and designing interior spaces. C. Managing tenants, maintenance, and financial operations. D. Restructuring the property ownership model. Answer: C. Managing tenants, maintenance, and financial operations. Explanation: a property manager is responsible for day-to-day operations, including managing tenants, overseeing maintenance, and handling financial aspects like rent collection. Question 28. How does the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, impact commercial real estate properties? A. It requires all properties to be rezoned for accessibility. B. It imposes tax incentives for ADA compliance. C. It mandates accessibility accommodations in public areas. D. It restricts the leasing of properties to businesses serving disabled individuals. Answer: C. It mandates accessibility accommodations in public areas. Explanation. The ADA requires commercial properties to have accessible facilities for individuals with disabilities, particularly in public areas. Question 29. In a lease agreement, what does the term gross lease typically imply? A. The tenant pays all property expenses separately from the rent. B. The rent covers all property expenses, including taxes, insurance, and maintenance. C. The lease is based on the gross income of the tenant. D. The lease includes gross misconduct penalties. Answer. B. The rent covers all property expenses, including taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Explanation. In a gross lease, the tenant pays a flat rent amount, and the landlord covers all property expenses like taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Question 30. Explain the concept of dual agency in real estate transactions and discuss its potential conflicts. A. Representing both the buyer and seller in the same transaction. B. Working with two different agencies at the same time. C. Managing both rental and sale properties. D. Representing both commercial and residential clients. Answer. A. Representing both the buyer and seller in the same transaction. Explanation. Dual agency occurs when a real estate agent represents both parties in a transaction, which can lead to conflicts of interest and a lack of impartiality. Question 31. A real estate developer is planning a new residential project. What environmental regulations must they consider during development? A. Local interior design guidelines. B. Federal income tax laws. C. Environmental impact assessments and local zoning laws. D. International building codes. Answer. C. Environmental impact assessments and local zoning laws. Explanation. Developers must consider environmental regulations, such as conducting impact assessments, and comply with local zoning laws for land use. Question 32. What is the purpose of the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, RESPA, and how does it protect consumers? A. It ensures fair competition among real estate agents. B. It provides tax advantages for homebuyers. C. It requires full disclosure of costs and fees in mortgage transactions. D. It standardizes property appraisal methods. Answer. C. It requires full disclosure of costs and fees in mortgage transactions. Explanation. RESPA ensures that consumers receive disclosures regarding the costs and fees associated with their mortgage, promoting transparency in real estate transactions. Question 33. How do property tax assessments impact homeowners in California? A. They determine eligibility for federal housing grants. B. They dictate the terms of the mortgage. C. They affect the homeowner's credit score. D. They determine the amount of property tax to be paid. Answer. D. They determine the amount of property tax to be paid. Explanation. Property tax assessments in California establish the value of a property for tax purposes, directly impacting the amount of property tax owed by the homeowner. Question 34. What is the significance of disclosure in real estate transactions, and what types of information must be disclosed? A. Only positive aspects of the property need to be disclosed. B. All known material facts about the property's condition must be disclosed. C. Disclosure is optional and at the seller's discretion. D. Only legal disputes related to the property must be disclosed. Answer. B. All known material facts about the property's condition must be disclosed. Explanation. Sellers and agents are legally required to disclose all known material facts about a property's condition that could affect its value or desirability. Question 35. Explain the concept of transfer of title in real estate, including the necessary legal documents. A. It's the process of changing the property's purpose. B. It involves only the exchange of keys. C. It's the legal process of changing property ownership, requiring a deed. D. It requires a mortgage agreement only. Answer: C. It's the legal process of changing property ownership, requiring a deed. Explanation: transfer of title in real estate is the legal process of transferring ownership from one party to another, typically involving the execution of a deed. Question 36. A property is listed as having an encroachment. What does this mean, and how can it affect the sale? A. The property exceeds environmental limits. B. Part of the property extends onto a neighboring property without permission. C. The property has too many occupants. D. The property is encroaching on government land. Answer: B. Part of the property extends onto a neighboring property without permission. Explanation: encroachment means that a portion of the property, like a structure, illegally extends onto neighboring land, which can complicate the sale process. Question 37. Define real estate wholesaling and explain how it differs from traditional real estate transactions. A. Purchasing properties and renting them out. B. Buying properties, renovating them, and selling for a profit. C. Contracting to buy a property and selling the contract to another buyer before closing. D. Selling properties in bulk to a single buyer. Answer: C. Contracting to buy a property and selling the contract to another buyer before closing. Explanation: in real estate wholesaling, the wholesaler contracts to purchase a property and then sells the contract to an end buyer, without actually owning the property. Question 38. What are the potential legal consequences of a real estate agent misrepresenting a property's condition? A. Increased commission rates. B. Legal action for fraud or misrepresentation. C. Mandatory property upgrades. D. Automatic sale cancellation. Answer: B. Legal action for fraud or misrepresentation. Explanation: misrepresenting a property's condition can lead to legal consequences for the agent, including potential lawsuits for fraud or misrepresentation. Question 39. Explain capital gains tax in the context of selling real estate in California. A. A tax on the total selling price of the property. B. A tax on the profit made from selling a property. C. A fixed tax applied to all property sales. D. A tax based on the property's location. Answer: B. A tax on the profit made from selling a property. Explanation: capital gains tax is levied on the profit or gain made from selling a property, calculated as the difference between the selling price and the original purchase price. Question 40. Describe the differences between fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs. A. Fixed rate mortgages have a variable interest rate. ARMs have a fixed rate. B. Fixed rate mortgages have the same interest rate throughout. ARMs can change over time. C. Fixed rate mortgages are for commercial properties. ARMs for residential. D. Fixed rate mortgages are short term. ARMs are long term. Answer: B. Fixed rate mortgages have the same interest rate throughout. ARMs can change over time. Explanation: fixed rate mortgages maintain the same interest rate for the entire loan term, while adjustable rate mortgages have an interest rate that can change based on market conditions. Question 41. After 20 years, a homeowner decides to sell their property. They discover an old, unrecorded deed that shows a previous owner sold the property to someone else 25 years ago, but that buyer never took possession or recorded the deed. What issues might this raise in the sale process? A. Questions about the property's market value. B. No issues as the deed is old. C. Disputes over the property's legal ownership. D. Requirement for immediate possession by the buyer. Answer: C. Disputes over the property's legal ownership. Explanation. The unrecorded deed could lead to legal disputes regarding the true ownership of the property, complicating the sale process. Question 42. A property owner is notified that a new highway will be built close to their property, potentially reducing its value. What legal principle allows the government to do this, and what rights does the owner have? A. Eminent domain. The owner has the right to fair compensation. B. Adverse possession. The owner can contest the possession. C. Lien. The owner must pay for the construction. D. Encroachment. The owner can request removal. Answer. A. Eminent domain. The owner has the right to fair compensation. Explanation. Eminent domain allows the government to take private property for public use, but the property owner is entitled to fair compensation. Question 43. In a purchase agreement, a buyer includes a contingency that the sale is subject to the property passing a home inspection. The inspection reveals significant plumbing issues. What options are available to the buyer? A. Cancel the agreement without penalty. B. Demand the seller to buy homeowner's insurance. C. Renegotiate the selling price or request repairs. D. The buyer must accept the property as is. Answer. C. Renegotiate the selling price or request repairs. Explanation. With a home inspection contingency, the buyer can renegotiate the deal based on the inspection results or request repairs before proceeding. Question 44. A landlord owns a building in a rent-controlled area of California. They want to increase the rent beyond the annual allowable percentage. Under what circumstances, if any, can they do this? A. If the property is sold to a new owner. B. If the building undergoes significant renovations. C. Only if all tenants agree to the increase. D. It's not possible in rent-controlled areas. Answer. B. If the building undergoes significant renovations. Explanation. In some cases, landlords in rent-controlled areas can increase rent beyond the limit if the building has undergone significant renovations. Question 45. Explain the difference between real property and personal property with examples. A. Real property includes movable items. Personal property includes land and buildings. B. Real property is for residential use. Personal property is for commercial use. C. Real property includes land and buildings. Personal property includes movable items. D. Real property is leased. Personal property is owned. Answer. C. Real property includes land and buildings. Personal property includes movable items. Explanation. Real property refers to land and anything permanently attached to it, like buildings. Personal property includes movable items like furniture. Question 46. A couple is buying a home and discovers that the seller is a licensed real estate agent who is representing themselves in the transaction. What disclosures are required in this situation? A. Disclosure of the agent's commission rate. B. No additional disclosures are required. C. Disclosure of the agent's professional status. D. Disclosure of all previous offers. Answer. C. Disclosure of the agent's professional status. Explanation. The seller, who is also a real estate agent, must disclose their professional status to the buyers, as it could impact the negotiation process. Question 47. A real estate agent is representing a buyer who is not a U.S. citizen. Are there any special considerations or restrictions for foreign buyers of real estate in California? A. Foreign buyers cannot purchase residential property. B. There are no special considerations or restrictions. C. Foreign buyers must pay higher property taxes. D. The purchase must be approved by the state government. Answer. B. There are no special considerations or restrictions. Explanation. In California, there are no special restrictions or considerations for foreign buyers purchasing real estate. Question 48. What is a cloud on title and how can it be resolved? A. A temporary title for new constructions resolved by final inspection. B. An unresolved claim or issue resolved through legal action or documentation. C. A title for properties in high-risk areas resolved by changing the zoning. D. A shared title between multiple owners resolved by a buyout. Answer. B. An unresolved claim or issue resolved through legal action or documentation. Explanation. A cloud on title is any unresolved claim or issue that can cast doubt on the ownership of the property, typically resolved through legal actions or obtaining proper documentation. Question 49. Describe the process and implications of a property being condemned by the government. A. The property is deemed unsafe. The owner must renovate it. B. The property is taken for public use. The owner receives compensation. C. The property is auctioned off. The owner loses all rights. D. The property is leased by the government. The owner retains title. Answer. B. The property is taken for public use. The owner receives compensation. Explanation. When a property is condemned, it is taken by the government for public use, such as for infrastructure projects, and the owner is entitled to compensation. Question 50. A real estate broker is accused of commingling client funds with their personal funds. What are the potential consequences of this action? A. Increase in client trust. B. No consequences, as it's a common practice. C. Legal and professional penalties, including license revocation. D. A mandatory financial audit only. Answer. C. Legal and professional penalties, including license revocation. Explanation. Commingling client funds with personal funds is a serious violation and can result in legal action, professional penalties, and potentially the revocation of the broker's license. Question 51. An investor is considering a property with a net operating income, NOI, of $120,000 and a market cap rate of 8%. What is the estimated value of the property? A. $1,500,000. B. $960,000. C. $1,200,000. D. $15 million. Answer. A. $1,500,000. Explanation. The estimated value is calculated by dividing the NOI by the cap rate. $120,000/0.08 equals $1,500,000. Question 52. A homeowner in a historic district wants to make significant changes to their property. What restrictions or considerations are they likely to face? A. No restrictions in historic districts. B. Approval from the homeowners association only. C. Restrictions on alterations to preserve historic character. D. Mandatory changes to meet modern standards. Answer. C. Restrictions on alterations to preserve historic character. Explanation. Properties in historic districts often face restrictions on changes to maintain the area's historic character and aesthetic. Question 53. Explain exclusive right to sell listing agreements in real estate. A. The seller must sell the property exclusively to a pre-selected buyer. B. The seller gives one agent the exclusive right to sell the property. C. The seller can only sell the property themselves. D. The property must be sold within an exclusive time frame. Answer. B. The seller gives one agent the exclusive right to sell the property. Explanation. In an exclusive right to sell agreement, the seller gives one real estate agent the sole right to sell the property, typically ensuring commission for the agent regardless of who finds the buyer. Question 54. A homeowner discovers a latent defect in their property after purchasing it. What legal recourse do they have against the seller? A. No recourse as all sales are final. B. Sue for damages if the defect was known and not disclosed. C. Request a property tax reassessment. D. Mandatory renovation by the seller. Answer. B. Sue for damages if the defect was known and not disclosed. Explanation. If the seller knew about the latent defect and did not disclose it, the buyer can potentially sue for damages due to misrepresentation or non-disclosure. Question 55. Describe the concept of bundle of rights in property ownership. A. The rights to use, sell, lease, enter, and give away the property. B. The right to lease the property only. C. The rights defined by the homeowners association. D. The right to occupy the property exclusively. Answer. A. The rights to use, sell, lease, enter, and give away the property. Explanation. The bundle of rights includes the rights of the property owner to use, sell, lease, enter, and give away the property, as well as to refuse others these rights. Question 56. A tenant signs a 1-year lease but needs to move out after 6 months due to a job relocation. What are the tenant's obligations and options? A. The tenant has no obligations and can leave any time. B. The tenant must buy out the remainder of the lease. C. The tenant can sublet or negotiate an early termination with the landlord. D. The tenant must continue to pay rent for the full year. Answer. C. The tenant can sublet or negotiate an early termination with the landlord. Explanation. The tenant can try to sublet the property, if allowetti, or negotiate an early termination agreement with the landlord, possibly involving some penalty. Question 57. What are special assessment taxes, and when are they typically levied on property owners? A. Taxes for general municipal improvements. B. Taxes for specific improvements that benefit a property. C. Annual taxes based on property value. D. Federal taxes for historic property owners. Answer. B. Taxes for specific improvements that benefit a property. Explanation. Special assessment taxes are levied to fund specific projects or improvements, like new roads or utilities, that directly benefit the property owners in the area. Question 58. A real estate agent is working with a client who requires wheelchair accessibility. What specific features should the agent consider when showing properties? A. Properties with multiple levels. B. Wide doorways, no step entries, and accessible bathrooms. C. Properties in urban areas only. D. High-rise buildings with elevators. Answer. B. Wide doorways, no step entries, and accessible bathrooms. Explanation. The agent should focus on properties with features like wide doorways, no step entries, and accessible bathrooms to accommodate the client's wheelchair. Question 59. Explain the importance of due on sale clauses in mortgage agreements. A. They allow the buyer to sell the property at any time. B. They require the full loan balance upon the sale of the property. C. They prohibit the sale of the property. D. They determine the property's selling price. Answer. B. They require the full loan balance upon the sale of the property. Explanation. A due on sale clause requires that the full remaining balance of the mortgage be paid when the property is sold. Question 60. A property in California has been identified as having an endangered species habitat on it. What impact does this have on the property's use and value? A. Increases the property's value significantly. B. No impact on use or value. C. May limit development and use of the property. D. Automatically qualifies the property for tax exemptions. Answer. C. May limit development and use of the property. Explanation. The presence of an endangered species habitat can impose restrictions on development and use, potentially affecting the property's value and usability. Question 61. A buyer is interested in a commercial property that is currently under a lease. The lease will expire in 2 years. What should the buyer be aware of regarding the existing lease agreement when purchasing the property? A. The lease automatically terminates upon sale. B. The buyer must renegotiate the lease terms immediately. C. The lease remains in effect, and the buyer assumes the role of the landlord. D. The buyer can immediately increase the rent. Answer: C. The lease remains in effect, and the buyer assumes the role of the landlord. Explanation: when a leased property is sold, the existing lease remains in effect. The buyer takes on the landlord's responsibilities under the terms of the current lease. Question 62. A real estate agent is representing a seller in a transaction. The agent discovers that the property has a significant termite infestation, which the seller wishes to conceal. What are the agent's legal and ethical obligations in this situation? A. Conceal the infestation as per the seller's request. B. Inform potential buyers about the infestation. C. Terminate their relationship with the seller. D. Only disclose if asked directly by buyers. Answer: B. Inform potential buyers about the infestation. Explanation: the agent has a legal and ethical obligation to disclose material facts about the property, including significant termite infestation, to potential buyers. Question 63. Explain the term buyer's market and seller's market in real estate. How do these market conditions affect pricing and negotiation strategies? A. Buyer's market: high prices, seller's market; low prices. B. Buyer's market: more sellers than buyers, seller's market; more buyers than sellers. C. Buyer's market: low demand, seller's market; high demand. D. Buyer's market: more buyers than sellers, seller's market; more sellers than buyers. Answer: B. Buyer's market: more sellers than buyers, seller's market; more buyers than sellers. Explanation: in a buyer's market, there are more sellers than buyers, leading to lower prices. In a seller's market, there are more buyers than sellers, often resulting in higher prices. Question 64. During a property transaction, a title search reveals an old easement allowing a neighboring property to access a well on the subject property. How might this affect the transaction? A. The easement can be ignored as it is old. B. The buyer can demand a lower price. C. It can limit the use of the property by the new owner. D. It automatically terminates upon the sale of the property. Answer: C. It can limit the use of the property by the new owner. Explanation: an existing easement, such as access to a well, remains in effect and can limit how the new owner uses that part of the property. Question 65. A homeowner wants to convert their single-family residence into a rental property. What legal and regulatory considerations should they be aware of in California? A. No special considerations are needed for renting out a property. B. They need to apply for a special homeowner's permit. C. Compliance with local zoning, safety standards, and landlord-tenant laws. D. Mandatory conversion to a condominium. Answer: C. Compliance with local zoning, safety standards, and landlord-tenant laws. Explanation: converting a property into a rental requires compliance with local zoning laws, safety and habitability standards, and understanding landlord-tenant laws. Question 66. Define mortgage insurance and explain when and why it is required in a real estate transaction. A. Insurance protecting against property damage, required for all mortgages. B. Insurance that pays off the mortgage in case of the borrower's death, always required. C. Protection for the lender against borrower default, required for high loan-to-value ratios. D. Insurance covering mortgage payments in case of unemployment, optional. Answer: C. Protection for the lender against borrower default required for high loan-to-value ratios. Explanation: mortgage insurance protects the lender if the borrower defaults, typically required when the down payment is less than 20% of the home's value. Question 67. In California, what are the implications of selling a property as is? A. The seller is exempt from any legal liabilities. B. The buyer cannot request any repairs or credits. C. The property is sold in its current condition, but the seller must still disclose known defects. D. The property cannot be inspected before sale. Answer: C. The property is sold in its current condition, but the seller must still disclose known defects. Explanation: selling a property as is means it is sold in its current condition, but the seller is still legally obligated to disclose any known defects to the buyer. Question 68. A real estate investor is considering the purchase of a property with existing tenants. What are the key factors the investor should consider regarding the tenants? A. The tenants' personal backgrounds. B. The current rental rates and lease agreements. C. The tenants' decorating styles. D. The age of the tenants. Answer: B. The current rental rates and lease agreements. Explanation: an investor should review the existing lease agreements and rental rates to understand their obligations and the income potential of the property. Question 69. Explain the concept of equity in real estate and how homeowners can utilize it. A. The market value of a property minus any outstanding mortgage balance. B. A fixed interest rate on a mortgage. C. The legal ownership of a property. D. A mandatory insurance policy on a property. Answer: A. The market value of a property minus any outstanding mortgage balance. Explanation: equity in real estate is the difference between the property's market value and the outstanding balance of all liens on it. Homeowners can utilize equity through loans or refinancing. Question 70. A property owner receives a notice of eminent domain from the government regarding their property. What does this mean, and what are the owner's rights and options? A. The property will be leased by the government. The owner retains ownership. B. The government intends to acquire the property for public use. The owner is entitled to fair compensation. C. The property has been rezoned. The owner must change its use. D. The property is subject to higher taxes. The owner can appeal. Answer: B. The government intends to acquire the property for public use. The owner is entitled to fair compensation. Explanation: eminent domain is the right of the government to take private property for public use, with the requirement to provide fair compensation to the owner. Question 71. How do environmental factors, such as proximity to a flood zone or earthquake fault line, affect real estate transactions in California? A. They have no impact on real estate transactions. B. They reduce property taxes. C. They require additional disclosures and may affect property insurance rates. D. They only affect commercial properties. Answer: C. They require additional disclosures and may affect property insurance rates. Explanation: proximity to environmental hazards like flood zones or fault lines requires additional disclosures to buyers and can lead to higher insurance rates. Question 72. What is the purpose of a home warranty in a real estate transaction, and what does it typically cover? A. It guarantees a fixed selling price, covers market fluctuations. B. It insures the property against natural disasters, covers damages from events like earthquakes. C. It provides repairs for certain defects, covers appliances and systems like heating and plumbing. D. It covers the buyer's mortgage payments for the first year. Answer: C. It provides repairs for certain defects, covers appliances and systems like heating and plumbing. Explanation: A home warranty typically covers the repair or replacement of home systems and appliances that break down due to normal wear and tear. Question 73. A couple is considering a property with a homeowners association, HOA. What should they know about HOAs and their impact on property ownership? A. HOAs have no impact on ownership rights. B. HOAs can impose rules, fees, and assessments that affect property use. C. HOAs only apply to condominiums, not single-family homes. D. HOAs reduce property taxes. Answer. B. HOAs can impose rules, fees, and assessments that affect property use. Explanation. HOAs govern certain properties, imposing rules and fees that affect how owners can use their properties and maintain common areas. Question 74. Explain the difference between a real estate appraiser and a real estate inspector in the context of a property transaction. A. No difference. Both terms are interchangeable. B. An appraiser determines value. An inspector assesses condition. C. An appraiser inspects for defects. An inspector determines value. D. An appraiser is for commercial properties. An inspector is for residential properties. Answer. B. An appraiser determines value. An inspector assesses condition. Explanation. A real estate appraiser assesses the value of a property, while an inspector examines the property's physical condition. Question 75. What are adjustments in a real estate closing statement, and how are they calculated? A. Changes to the selling price, based on final negotiations. B. Additional fees for the agent, based on the sale duration. C. Prorated items like taxes and utilities, based on the date of closing. D. Modifications to property boundaries, based on survey results. Answer. C. Prorated items like taxes and utilities, based on the date of closing. Explanation. Adjustments refer to prorated payments for ongoing expenses like property taxes and utilities, calculated up to the date of the property transfer. Question 76. A real estate brokerage is planning to advertise properties on social media. What legal considerations must they keep in mind to comply with advertising laws? A. Only using high-resolution images. B. Ensuring all advertisements are in English only. C. Avoiding discriminatory language and ensuring accuracy. D. Posting exclusively on verified social media accounts. Answer. C. Avoiding discriminatory language and ensuring accuracy. Explanation. Real estate advertisements must comply with fair housing laws, avoiding discriminatory language, and must provide accurate and truthful information about properties. Question 77. Define constructive eviction and give an example of a situation that might lead to it. A. Evicting a tenant for non-payment. Example. A tenant missing rent. B. A landlord's failure to maintain a habitable environment. Example. Not addressing a severe mold problem. C. A tenant leaving without notice. Example. A tenant abandoning the property. D. A landlord selling the property. Example. A new owner wanting to move in. Answer. B. A landlord's failure to maintain a habitable environment. Example. Not addressing a severe mold problem. Explanation. Constructive eviction occurs when a landlord's failure to maintain the property makes it uninhabitable, forcing the tenant to leave, such as not addressing severe mold. Question 78. A commercial property owner is facing foreclosure. Explain the foreclosure process and the owner's options in California. A. Immediate eviction. The owner has no options. B. A legal process where the property is auctioned. The owner can pay the overdue amount to stop it. C. The property is automatically transferred to the bank. No auction. D. The owner must declare bankruptcy to stop foreclosure. Answer. B. A legal process where the property is auctioned. The owner can pay the overdue amount to stop it. Explanation. Foreclosure is a legal process where a defaulted property is auctioned. The owner can halt the process by paying the overdue amount plus costs. Question 79. What are the benefits and drawbacks of buying a property at a real estate auction in California? A. Benefit. Guaranteed financing. Drawback. Higher prices. B. Benefit. Potential lower prices. Drawback. Less time for due diligence. C. Benefit. No need for inspections. Drawback. Longer closing times. D. Benefit. Personalized property renovations. Drawback. Mandatory cash payments. Answer. B. Benefit. Potential lower prices. Drawback. Less time for due diligence. Explanation. Buying at auction may offer lower prices, but the drawback is limited time for thorough inspections and due diligence. Question 80. Explain property staging and its significance in the real estate selling process. A. Renovating a property before selling. B. Arranging furniture and decor to showcase a property's potential. C. Determining property boundaries before a sale. D. Conducting open houses for potential buyers. Answer. B. Arranging furniture and decor to showcase a property's potential. Explanation. Property staging involves arranging furniture and decor to make a property more appealing, helping potential buyers visualize the space and increasing the chances of a sale. Question 81. A real estate agent is representing a client in the purchase of a property with a history of seismic activity. What disclosures and investigations are required in this scenario? A. No special disclosures are required. B. Disclosure of seismic activity history and a geotechnical report. C. Only a general home inspection is required. D. Disclosure of property tax history. Answer. B. Disclosure of seismic activity history and a geotechnical report. Explanation. In areas with a history of seismic activity, it is important to disclose this information and often to conduct a geotechnical report to assess risks. Question 82. A property owner in California wants to subdivide their large parcel of land. What are the key legal and regulatory considerations they must address? A. The color and design of future buildings. B. Local zoning laws and subdivision regulations. C. The number of trees that can be planted. D. The preference of the local community. Answer. B. Local zoning laws and subdivision regulations. Explanation. When subdividing land, the owner must comply with local zoning laws and subdivision regulations, which dictate how land can be divided and used. Question 83. Explain the concept of property flipping and discuss the potential risks and rewards associated with it. A. Buying properties and renting them out for long-term income. B. Buying properties, renovating them, and quickly reselling for profit. C. Transferring property titles to avoid taxes. D. Exchanging properties with another owner. Answer. B. Buying properties, renovating them, and quickly reselling for profit. Explanation. Property flipping involves buying properties, improving them, usually through renovations, and selling them quickly for a profit. The rewards can be substantial, but there are risks like unexpected renovation costs or market changes. Question 84. During a final walkthrough, a buyer notices significant damage that occurred since the initial inspection. What steps should the buyer take in response to this discovery? A. Request immediate repair or compensation from the seller. B. Ignore the damage as it's too late to address. C. Reduce the offer price unilaterally. D. Cancel the mortgage application. Answer. A. Request immediate repair or compensation from the seller. Explanation. If significant damage is discovered during the final walkthrough, the buyer should negotiate with the seller for repairs or compensation before closing. Question 85. What is a certificate of occupancy, and when is it necessary in a real estate transaction? A. It's required for all real estate transactions as proof of ownership. B. It's necessary when a property is leased, not sold. C. It certifies that a building is in compliance with building codes and is habitable. D. It's required only for commercial properties. Answer: C. It certifies that a building is in compliance with building codes and is habitable. Explanation: a certificate of occupancy is issued by a local government agency and confirms that a building is suitable for occupancy, meeting all building codes and regulations. Question 86. A tenant discovers mold in their rental property. What are their rights and the landlord's responsibilities in this situation? A. The tenant must clean the mold themselves. B. The landlord is responsible for remediation if the property becomes uninhabitable. C. The tenant can withhold rent until the problem is resolved. D. The landlord can charge the tenant for mold removal. Answer: B. The landlord is responsible for remediation if the property becomes uninhabitable. Explanation: landlords are responsible for maintaining habitable living conditions, which includes addressing and remediating significant mold issues. Question 87. Describe the impact of Proposition 13 on property taxes in California. A. It eliminates property taxes for senior citizens. B. It limits the annual increase of property tax to a fixed percentage. C. It increases property taxes based on the property's market value. D. It ties property taxes to the homeowner's income. Answer: B. It limits the annual increase of property tax to a fixed percentage. Explanation: Proposition 13 limits the annual increases in property taxes to a fixed percentage, providing predictability and stability in property tax bills. Question 88. A real estate agent is considering specializing in green or environmentally sustainable properties. What additional knowledge or skills might be beneficial for this specialization? A. Knowledge of historical property preservation. B. Understanding of sustainable building practices and energy efficiency. C. Specialization in luxury properties. D. Expertise in urban development. Answer: B. Understanding of sustainable building practices and energy efficiency. Explanation: specializing in green properties would benefit from an understanding of sustainable building practices, energy-efficient technologies, and eco-friendly materials. Question 89. How does a lease option to buy work in real estate, and what are its advantages and disadvantages for both parties? A. The tenant pays rent with no option to buy. Advantage: flexibility. Disadvantage: no equity building. B. The tenant has the right to purchase the property at a set price within a certain time. Advantage: trial period. Disadvantage: potential loss of option fee. C. The tenant must buy the property at the end of the lease. Advantage: guaranteed sale. Disadvantage: lack of choice. D. The landlord can buy back the property at any time. Advantage: control. Disadvantage: uncertainty. Answer: B. The tenant has the right to purchase the property at a set price within a certain time. Advantage: trial period. Disadvantage: potential loss of option fee. Explanation: in a lease option to buy, the tenant rents the property with the option to buy it later at a predetermined price. It offers a trial period but involves the risk of losing the option fee if not exercised. Question 90. A historic property is on the market, but it's subject to preservation easements. How do these easements affect the property's use and potential buyers? A. No impact on the property's use or buyer's interest. B. Increases the property's value and attractiveness. C. Limits alterations to preserve historic features, which can affect buyer interest. D. Requires the buyer to open the property to the public. Answer: C. Limits alterations to preserve historic features, which can affect buyer interest. Explanation. Preservation easements restrict changes to a property to maintain its historic character, which can limit what buyers can alter and potentially affect their interest. Question 91. Explain the process and significance of property rezoning in California. A. Changing the property's tax rate, significant for tax purposes. B. Changing the designated use of a property, significant for development possibilities. C. Transferring property ownership, significant for sales. D. Renovating a property, significant for property value. Answer. B. Changing the designated use of a property, significant for development possibilities. Explanation. Rezoning involves changing the designated use of a property, for example, from residential to commercial, which can significantly impact what can be built or how a property can be used. Question 92. A couple is buying a property near a coastal area. What special considerations should they have regarding insurance and environmental factors? A. No special considerations are needed for coastal properties. B. Considerations for high tides and special marine life insurance. C. Flood insurance and awareness of potential environmental risks like erosion. D. Mandatory boat insurance and docking fees. Answer. C. Flood insurance and awareness of potential environmental risks like erosion. Explanation. Properties near coastal areas may require flood insurance due to higher risk of flooding and should consider environmental factors like erosion. Question 93. What is a 1031 exchange, and how can it be beneficial for real estate investors in California? A. A direct property swap with another investor, beneficial for quick transactions. B. A tax-deferred exchange of investment properties, beneficial for deferring capital gains taxes. C. A government grant for first-time investors, beneficial for reducing initial costs. D. A loan program for commercial properties, beneficial for lower interest rates. Answer. B. A tax-deferred exchange of investment properties, beneficial for deferring capital gains taxes. Explanation. A 1031 exchange allows investors to defer capital gains taxes by exchanging one investment property for another, facilitating the growth of their investment portfolio. Question 94. In a real estate contract, what does force majeure mean, and how can it affect the agreement? A. A clause that mandates arbitration. It affects dispute resolution. B. A clause that excuses performance due to extraordinary events. It can delay or void the contract. C. A fixed price agreement. It affects the contract's financial terms. D. A mandatory inspection clause. It affects the property's condition evaluation. Answer. B. A clause that excuses performance due to extraordinary events. It can delay or void the contract. Explanation. Force majeure refers to unforeseeable circumstances that prevent someone from fulfilling a contract, potentially allowing parties to delay or void the contract. Question 95. A property owner wants to install solar panels on their home. What are the potential benefits, costs, and legal considerations in California? A. Benefits. Aesthetic improvement. Costs. Annual fees. Legal. Mandatory neighborhood approval. B. Benefits. Energy savings. Potential tax credits. Costs. Installation and maintenance. Legal. Compliance with local regulations. C. Benefits. Increased property size. Costs. Property taxes. Legal. Zoning changes. D. Benefits. Reduced water usage. Costs. Landscaping. Legal. Water rights. Answer. B. Benefits. Energy savings. Potential tax credits. Costs. Installation and maintenance. Legal. Compliance with local regulations. Explanation. Installing solar panels can lead to energy savings and may qualify for tax credits. Costs include installation and maintenance, and legal considerations involve local regulations and homeowners association rules. Question 96. Explain the concept of common interest developments, CIDs, and the role of homeowners associations, HOAs, within them. A. CIDs are commercial properties managed by HOAs. HOAs handle leasing. B. CIDs are neighborhoods with shared amenities. HOAs manage and maintain these areas. C. CIDs are government housing projects. HOAs organize community events. D. CIDs are individual properties. HOAs have no role. Answer. B. CIDs are neighborhoods with shared amenities. HOAs manage and maintain these areas. Explanation. Common interest developments, CIDs, include shared spaces and amenities, and homeowners associations, HOAs, are responsible for managing and maintaining these common areas. Question 97. A buyer is interested in a property with an existing solar lease. What should the buyer be aware of before proceeding with the purchase? A. The lease automatically terminates upon sale. B. The buyer can renegotiate the lease terms. C. The lease terms and obligations will transfer to the buyer. D. Solar leases are illegal in real estate transactions. Answer. C. The lease terms and obligations will transfer to the buyer. Explanation. When a property has an existing solar lease, the buyer should be aware that they will assume the lease terms and obligations upon purchasing the property. Question 98. What are the key considerations for a real estate professional when dealing with a property that has been stigmatized, such as one where a crime occurred? A. The property must be sold at a lower price. B. Disclosure of the stigma and understanding its impact on potential buyers. C. Renovating the property to remove the stigma. D. Selling the property only to specific types of buyers. Answer. B. Disclosure of the stigma and understanding its impact on potential buyers. Explanation. For stigmatized properties, real estate professionals must disclose the stigma and understand how it might affect the property's appeal to potential buyers. Question 99. Describe the process and importance of lead-based paint disclosure in California real estate transactions. A. It's only important for properties built after 1978. B. Disclosure is required for all properties. It informs about potential health hazards. C. The disclosure is optional but recommended. D. It's a formality with no real importance. Answer. B. Disclosure is required for all properties. It informs about potential health hazards. Explanation. In California, sellers and landlords of properties built before 1978 must disclose the presence of lead-based paint, as it poses significant health hazards. Question 100. A real estate investor is considering purchasing a property through a foreclosure auction. What are the key steps and considerations in this process? A. Arranging financing in advance and understanding the property's condition and title status. B. Skipping inspections and immediate cash payment. C. Immediate renovation and resale. D. Focusing solely on the bidding price. Answer. A. Arranging financing in advance and understanding the property's condition and title status. Explanation. When buying a property at a foreclosure auction, it's important to secure financing beforehand and research the property's condition and title to avoid unforeseen complications.